entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey everybody, it's Enrique, and I got my co-host here,
Nat,
and we are officially now the Clustercast in light of the huge clusterfuck that it's been trying to get this organized. So here we are.
yeah, not even just like the getting organized, but the stuff we talk about. Because like last time we were talking about Pro Jared's dick, and this time we're talking about like Call of Duty. So it's pretty expansive.
I like to think we're pretty eclectic when it comes to just the whole geek culture in general. So yeah, we're the Clustercast.
Yeah, we're like the podcast cinematic universe.
There we go. All right, so there's been a couple of really cool trailers that dropped this week, so might as well just jump right into them. Is there any one in particular you want to talk about first?
I would say the one that I think I was most excited for was actually Modern Warfare.
Yeah, that's right. Call of Duty dropped the new trailer, which was pretty dope, actually.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that I guess it's supposedly a dark reboot, but I don't know how you do a dark reboot of a game where one of the main characters dies in a nuclear fire. Like, what's more dark than that?
Right. I mean, so from my understanding with this one, because there was a lot of hype and publicity around it with, like, I guess they were taking inspiration from the No Russian level. But they're going back to letting you play the war from kind of like different perspectives. And I think in one of them you actually get to play as an Afghan soldier.
Oh, that's interesting. So kind of like playing as the bad guy. Well, we don't know if he's a bad guy yet, but sounds like playing as the bad guys for a little bit.
Yeah, so I get the impression that you're going to be able to play like the different sides, which I think is really cool because it's a throwback to the old kind of Call of Duties.
Yeah.
Where it's less about the kind of like the one-man army and more about like the overall view of like just this is war and that's fucked up.
Right.
So it's pretty cool. And I mean, it's kind of a nice, breath of fresh air considering the series have kind of gone more into like a sci-fi route with like future warfare and all that. So they're kind of bringing it back to more contemporary.
Yeah, I mean, we did have that like respite where we had World War II, which was pretty cool. I kind of thought World War II was like it was fun, but didn't feel like it had lasting power. It just seemed like it was like, hey, we made the World War II game you guys wanted. Okay, shut up about it. Now the next one's going to be future again.
Yeah, it's true. It just felt like a quick little fan service thing. I mean, to be honest, the only real thing that's had lasting powers is the zombie mode.
Right, and all the Black Ops games. I feel like the Black Ops games always last way longer than the other entries in the series, or at least lately.
Yeah, that feels like it too, but I think like that it has a little bit more lasting power because there's more game modes to kind of enjoy.
Yeah, especially now that it has Blackout, I'm curious to see if Modern Warfare 4, Modern Warfare Reboot, has some kind of Battle Royale.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
Like, do you think Activision will step on its own toes and have two Call of Duty Battle Royales, like, going concurrently?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, considering it's like that seems to be the like where it's at right now with games, at least competitive wise. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they just even add a battle royale mode to it. So
right, yeah, I'd be interested to see how that works. I mean, it worked out fine in Black Ops 4. I guess it didn't really matter. I wonder if they would incorporate more like story based elements into it, since this one's actually going to have a story again. Because Black Ops 4 was just like, yep, multiplayer. Forget about the story. Don't worry about it.
Nobody even comes for the story. We know it. You know it. Let's go.
Yeah, no one's come for the story since, 2010?
Just about.
Which is unfortunate. I mean, they've shown that they can make really cool stories in those games, but they were just like, let's just forget about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the stories were never bad. I think with Modern Warfare or Call of Duty 4, let's call it 4 to just distinguish them, but like with that one, I mean, like the narrative on that was badass. I remember you play, and spoiler for anybody, but you play as like the main ranger guy, and then halfway through it, you end up dying in a nuclear explosion. Then you switch to soap, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was really kind of different at that time to have your main character just like die. It was like It was kind of like the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure of Call of Duty games.
Oh God, I just started getting into that series too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we can go into that later. But yeah, no, dude, and it was like a nice break. So I mean, it's kind of cool. Like the story's always been there, and like they haven't been bad. I mean, it's slightly better than reading a Tom Clancy novel, I'd say.
Well, that's not saying much. I used to try to read those things in elementary school because I saw the games and I was like, oh, the books. And I started reading them and I was like, these are boring.
Dude, they are so dense, especially for an elementary school kid.
Yeah, I was like, it was like late elementary school, like 7th and 8th grade, which is about the same time I was getting into like, shooting games as well. But it was like, this is just too much stuff all at once. I can't handle it.
Yeah, dude, for a kid, that does not translate well. Because I remember the first Tom Clancy book I tried reading was Havana Strike. And I got it because I played Splinter Cell. And then I saw like Tom Clancy. I'm like, oh, I know that guy. And it had like this, like the B-52 bomber or some stealth plane on the cover. I was like, oh, this looks real badass. And I think I got through about 4 chapters before I decided that maybe reading is not for me.
Yeah, Magic Treehouse is way better than this bullshit.
Right? Go back to Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, series of unfortunate events, Harry Potter. Go back to the fun stuff, not this fucking boring military shit.
I know, man, and it's weird because like it's one of those things that's just more fun to play, but when you actually read about it, you're just like, all right, I'm bored.
Yeah, I don't know how those books, just like military novels in general, have lasted so long. They're like the smutty romance novels for middle-aged white dudes.
Oh no! I mean, yeah, I guess that's a good parallel.
Because everybody wants to be like a war hero.
Everyone can relive like their glory days that they never quite reached, and
Yeah,
I can see that.
But yeah, I'm excited for it. I thought it was pretty cool that it's like kind of a reboot, but at the same time, in the back of my head, I have this nagging thing that's like, but why can't it be something new?
Okay, so like I haven't gone too much into the background of it. So, is it pretty much just kind of replacing Call of Duty Modern Warfare, like the original one that came out?
That's what it looks like, because what Captain Price is back in his mustachioed, cigar-smoking glory and everything. He looks, just like he did at the beginning of Modern Warfare. They showed, I'm pretty sure, the nuke going off part of the story in the trailer. I mean, it could have been a different bomb or a different explosion, but it looked just like that same cutscene, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I saw that. Like that definitely looked like a big level explosion. So I mean, it'll be interesting if they like manage to retell the story without kind of like retreading the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they'll make like the villain difference or make the villain more of like a. Because I feel like the villain, and I can't even remember who the villain was in the first one, but he's way less in the spotlight than in like Modern Warfare 2 and 3. Like Modern Warfare 2 and 3 were like villain-driven games. It was like, we gotta get this son of a bitch. Whereas in the first game, it was like, oh yeah, you get to the last mission, it's like, oh yeah, I have to kill this guy. I forgot.
Right. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. He was kind of like just fell to the wayside.
Yeah, except for like that one mission where well, it's not really a mission, but it was like that little in-between level where you play as the politician or whatever that gets like executed in the town square by him.
Oh yeah.
There was that part, but aside from that, not much of a spotlight was shown on him.
I'm kind of interested to see what they're going to do to recreate that feel from like the No Russian level, because I remember that was a really big deal when it first came out.
Yeah, they even had like the warning at the beginning, right? It was like, hey, there's some really fucked up shit in this game. You can decide right now if you want to see it or not.
Yeah, it's true, because like the whole point of the whole level was you were killing. You got the chance to kill civilians at an airport, and you didn't actually have to, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I totally didn't know that when I was playing. I was just like, yeah, kill them. That's cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I guess you could have that be like some kind of like criticism about what we think of violence in video games and how it's just so ingrained. But I mean, overall, like I think on top of that, the big plot twist too was like your character dies.
Right. Yeah. Again, you're the character that you're playing as being killed, which at the time in that like late 2000s, when you're playing a first-person shooter, you're the same guy from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, and you're the hero and you beat the bad guy and that's it. But in this one, you're playing as like so many different people. Some of them die. It was crazy.
I remember for me, like that was the most shocking thing. It wasn't the fact that, like that airport scene was like so graphic. It was the fact that at the very end he just turns around and shoots you, and I was like, oh man. And I'm thinking that you're just going to be able, like, oh, I'm injured. You'll wake up in like a hospital bed, like, the next scene. But no, the newspaper goes like, hey, agent found dead. You're. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I think immediately you're playing a soap.
Yeah, I think the next mission was like the favela mission.
I think so. It was like I remember there being a lot of snow.
Oh, was that the snow mission right after that? I thought there was the favela mission in like South America right after that.
I don't know, mate. No, you're right. You're right. I think so.
Because I think the snow, the like jet ski mission was like the second mission in the game.
No, yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, favelas. That's when you're trying to jump over like the houses and stuff.
Yeah. They're like built into the hillside.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, dude. I mean, it was an awesome game, so I'm kind of glad to see what they do with it.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if going forward they're gonna start like rebooting all of them, but I really hope not, because I don't want the next one to just be like, hey, we're rebooting Black Ops 1. It's like,
Yeah, see, that's why like the dicey thing with reboots, especially when you're rebooting like in the middle of a sequel. On top of that,
right.
It's kind of hard to tell. Like, are you going to be able to? Are you just going to keep milking this for as long as you can, or what?
Yeah, because Treyarch is the only one that's been like really steady with like continuing off the same story. Because World at War, I think technically is in the same storyline as the Black Ops games. So like World at War, Black Ops 1 through 4, like 5 games in a row, they've all been the same series. Whereas Modern Warfare ended with 3, and then they did Ghosts, and then Infinite Warfare, and then
yes, because Infinite Ward were the ones that did the Modern Warfare stuff.
Right, yeah, and Sledgehammer started with Advanced Warfare, and then they made World War II, and I think that's all they've made so far.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I don't really think they have anything to reboot yet, but I hope the Treyarch doesn't follow in the same shoes. And honestly, I could go with something besides Black Ops, honestly.
Yeah, I mean it's always interesting because I mean it's not it's not a series like FIFA where it's just you're playing soccer over and over again or Madden. I mean it's there's only so many times you could redo the same war story over and over again before people start getting bored of it.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, man. So on top of other trailers, another cool trailer that dropped a few days ago was Death Stranding. Did you catch that one?
Yes, I did catch Baby Carrying Simulator 2019. Looked really weird.
How fucked up was that?
It was really fucked up. I've been trying to figure out since like I think the first trailer, what the hell is his name?
Norman Reedus.
Not Norman Reedus, the bad guy. Mad Mikkelsen.
Oh, that's right. He's one of the bad guys. Yeah.
Yeah, like in the first trailer, they show him. He's in like a sewer or something, and he's got all his like ghosty looking soldiers connected to him with these like orange umbilical cord things, and he like sends them out. But now they're like, there's like, it's not time travel, but it's like seeing the events of the past, and he's like controlling World War I soldiers in the trenches at one point, and then he's got
but you
like
could tell they're clearly dead because they're all like skeletal and everything.
Yeah, and they're all like covered in like tar, like they're like dinosaur bones or something like that.
Yeah, dude, like that trailer was all sorts of what the fuck, but it also makes me excited because Kojima, and I talked to a couple of my friends, and a lot of them are like, "Oh, that's overhyped. I don't know why you care about that game," but like for me, dude, Kojima's always been like a guy that he got a lot of passion in his games, and as much as what the fuck his stories can be, I think half the fun is trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean he's been very like since the trailer dropped, he's been very vocal on like Twitter and stuff, saying like the message of the game is about bringing people together and like connecting these broken like not broken civilizations, but like broken pieces of civilization that have all like split apart, and you're trying to reconnect them, and people should stay connected and all that stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is like, what's the connecting part gonna be? Is Norman Reedus delivering literal babies to these like communities to like connect the communities? Like what do these babies do? I don't get it.
Well, on top of that, they hinted that it's gonna have like some kind of online connectivity system, or like kind of like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, where you'll be in a persistent world with other people and you can somehow help each other out in like some kind of connectivity way.
Yeah,
And
and
like,
you go.
no, go ahead.
The enemies and stuff, besides the ghost soldiers and stuff, like they didn't have guns. They had like stun batons and stuff like that. Like they're trying to not kill you but capture you.
Yeah, I saw that because like the trailer shows a little bit of gameplay, and then you see the character that's there running away, and they're either trying to stun him or like they're trying to capture him with like these weird like stun grenades too.
Yeah.
And then the weird babies, which like are supposed to be some kind of like a bridge between your character and like some other world.
Yeah, I think that's like the like when you're seeing the stuff happening in the past, like when he was seeing like the World War I trenches and stuff like that, it seems like the baby was like how he was seeing that stuff, and also those like weird ghosty spirits that like were turning stuff into black goop and like pulling Norman Reedus into the ground and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then he was like ground traveling like a street shark.
Yeah, it was weird.
But then like they also said that the game doesn't actually have a death state per se. They say when you die, you actually end up in like, I guess the equivalent of the upside down, and it's a whole nother thing to find your way back. So it's kind of an interesting way to handle death.
Yeah, it's not like checkpoints and like stuff like that. You just have to get back to where you were, basically.
Yeah, dude, it's weird as hell, but it looks fully Kojima, so I'm ready to strap down for like some weird, bizarre stories and a lot of poop jokes.
Yeah, I was worried about like combat too, because when I saw him just running away from the dudes with the stun batons, I was like, oh no, like you can't fight. And then he just like turned around, like socked some dude in the face, and I'm like, okay, so there's some kind of combat, and there was some like third person shooting I saw at one point, so that looks okay. I'm hoping it plays well, and it's not like when you get to those points in the game, it's like, oh no, another combat section, fuck.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how big of a part combat is going to be, or how much of a focus he put into it. Because, I mean, like, Metal Gear had really solid combat, but that's because like the whole game is centered around shooting. But even then, a lot of it was also more stealth and kind of strategy to it. This game, I don't know. The short clip they showed shows like combat is more of a like an oh shit less alternative than an actual like plot point.
Yeah, he even said, I don't know if he tweeted it or what, but he said at one point that it's not a stealth game.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, he like straight up said he's like, this is not a stealth game. This is not about sneaking around and stuff like that. So I don't know what that means exactly, because he didn't say what kind of game it was. He just kind of said what kind of game it isn't.
Yeah, he also said that like apparently it's a full exploration. You can go anywhere, and he says if you want to go to the moon, you can go to the moon. And even though I got some Todd Howard vibes out of that, I mean, it sounds cool to play like an open world exploring game by fucking Kojima.
Yeah, and I mean, judging by the like technology and stuff that we see in the game, I'm not surprised that we have some kind of like path to the moon, whether it's like some kind of space elevator or if there's like a teleporter that takes you there and it's like its own area. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some like dead astronaut spooky ghosts.
Maybe it's the fucking ladder he has. Maybe it's like a good like 2/3 of the game is just like climbing real time to the moon in a ladder.
You know what? That would be a really funny Metal Gear joke if they did something like that.
I would hope.
The infinite ladder.
Even just for a little bit, you're like, God damn it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like something you could do where like that extendo ladder he has, like you can extend it all the way to the moon and just climb.
All in real time.
Climb.
Again, like 18 hours into the game, still climbing.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, like, so I was curious, speaking of From Software games, talking about Dark Souls, in Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, the grappling hook, how there's like you have the grappling hook, but like it has to be a certain type of ledge and whatnot if you want to grapple to it. Like you can't just grapple onto anything.
Yeah.
The ladder, when he throws the ladder down and it, just lands on that ledge, I'm curious to see like if there's only certain places you can use the ladder, if you like have to pick the ladder back up when you're done with it, if you have multiple ladders, like how how mobile is Norman Reedus and how freely can he really travel around?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to jump to conclusions, but in the trailer, it looked like he just freely placed that ladder there, so it didn't look like it was restricted in the sense of you need to wait for like a context area to actually be able to use it. Which, I mean, that's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I guess it's just as long as the ladder can stay in place and not like fall or something.
Yeah, so I mean, who knows?
That would be interesting to see how expansive the open worldness really is, because I know it can be really hard to program stuff like that into big open world games, a la everything Bethesda does.
Yeah, that's true, man. Like I'm excited though, because that's one of those games that's been hinted at for so long, and especially with all the crap that happened with him leaving Konami and everything. Because I mean, Kojima's one of the few developers that genuinely cares and has a passion for the game that he's making. So I was afraid that after he left Konami, he was pretty much going to be done with the industry. But it's good to see that he still kind of has a foot in there.
Yeah, and this will be a really nice middle finger to Konami after they made Metal Gear Survive.
Oh my god, yeah, that was and see, and like in theory, Metal Gear Survive could have worked, but they just failed, man.
Yeah, they just tried to like cash grab really hard on the current trends by slapping the Metal Gear name on it.
Yes, yeah, I mean that's they really what they wanted to do at the end of the day because they know Metal Gear sells. So like, hey, let's just cash in. I'm surprised they didn't come up with like a Metal Gear pachinko machine.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's true. I think did Metal Gear Survive made like a decent amount of money, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think it did. I mean, it was generally. I mean, it's a title, so it's a Metal Gear title, so I'm sure it sold just enough.
Yeah, I know it reviewed like total ass, but I know that does not matter nowadays with movies and video games.
Yeah, that's true.
The fucking Minions can make $1 billion, then Metal Gear Survive could make whatever the fuck it wants.
Oh god. Let me see. Metal Gear Survive. It made. It sold about 31,000 copies in the first week.
31,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not very good.
No.
Wow,
what
man.
What did Metal Gear Solid 5 do?
Probably double that. I think it did almost like 62 because it says it sold 95% fewer copies than Metal Gear Solid 5.
Holy shit. 95% fewer?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was people just kind of giving Konami the finger.
That too, yeah. I think Metal Gear is one of those franchises where the fans are like sharp enough to not just buy the next thing.
Yeah, no, for real. Because Metal Gear has it's a very loyal following. Because I mean, the games have always been connected, and this overarching narrative between all of them, which is it's a loyal fan base because it's Kojima's Metal Gear.
Right, and I mean even like the spin-offs and stuff like Rising Revengeance, like as goofy as a fucking game as that is,
that
it's
game was
a great
fucking
game.
fantastic. Okay,
That game is fantastic, but holy shit, that game is goofy.
it was, yes, but I have never seen fucking sword mechanics like that in any other game that I've played since then.
No, the first time that I played it, I think I played the demo first, and the demo was basically just showing off the free swing mechanic, and I was like, this is amazing.
Dude, I would love to see that game kind of rebooted for VR.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty cool. It'd be like, yeah, just make a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance Beat Saber.
Hey, I mean, hey, it could work, right?
You really just slap Rising Revengeance on the end of any game, and I'd probably buy it.
Just for that alone.
Wasn't it supposed to have like a more normal title before it came out, and then they were like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and it was like that's not a word.
You know what? Knowing the way Kojima operates, I'm sure it did. And then at the last second, he's like, you know what? Just before we submit this for sale, let me just add this on at the end.
Yeah, let me make up a cool word. I'm gonna just take like two cool words and put them together. Like, yeah, Revengeance. That sounds cool.
Wait, Revengeance Rising. Oh right.
Wait, no, Rising Revengeance. There we go.
Oh man. Yeah, but it sounds like we got a lot of cool games coming up. Aside from that, we also got a couple of movie trailers that dropped.
Oh yeah.
Terminator Dark Fate, which was pretty dope.
Is it? Are we still excited for Terminator movies? I can't tell because Genesis was like poopy.
It was poopy, except Arnold got a really cool upgrade at least, so I like that.
That's true. Yeah, I'm wondering when Terminator, like, Burnout is gonna happen if it hasn't already.
Terminator Revengeance.
Oh yeah, I mean like when Salvation came out, that was when I was like, you know what? If I never see another Terminator thing as long as I live, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of interested in this one because I think they said specifically this is supposed to be a direct continuation to Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Okay.
But it's weird also because Arnold is in this one, which he was destroyed at the end of Judgment Day, so I don't know how they
some splaining to do.
Well, I kind of figure like Terminator is pretty. It follows like the Doctor Who kind of theory of time travel where it's all just one big massive ball of like metal bits and pieces. But well, no, because like what my impression is that with like the Terminator universe, you have it's mutable. Like it's a mutable timeline. You can kind of change things, but there's specific events that are fixed. Like that these will always happen. You know, right. Skynet will always be built. The machines will always turn on humanity. John Connor will always be there to like lead the resistance. They'll always try to assassinate. It's kind of like it's cyclical, but when those events happen, it's kind of like a sliding time scale.
Right.
But I will say this: I don't know. Regardless of even if the movie's shitty, I always dig the designs, and like I like the Terminator design for this one.
That's true. Yeah, the Terminator is nothing if not pleasing to the eye when it comes to their like character designs and the Terminator designs and like sets and stuff like that. Like Terminator 2 is still like one of the coolest looking fucking movies of its era.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. Like the scene where you have like the T-1000 like walking through the jail cell.
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't aged well. If you watch it now, it doesn't look as cool. It looks like just someone took like aluminum foil and superimposed it over a movie. Like that's how weird it sticks out now. But the concept is awesome.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's true. Spy Kids 3D looks better than Terminator 2 does, but that's beside the point.
Touche. You know, I actually did like that movie. That's the one with Danny Trejo, right?
Spy Kids 3D?
Yeah.
That's the one where they're in the video game. I think so.
No, I don't know. All I know is Danny Trejo has like the weirdest fucking filmography that I've like out of anybody that I know.
Danny Trejo, I think, will take any movie role that you ask of him as long as you say it, as long as you ask politely.
Well, like, and I think like in canon, the Danny Trejo from the Spy Kids universe is Machete.
Oh my god, no way.
Yeah, there's like a whole weird thing about it. Like, I don't remember the details of it, but I remember that little like tidbit popping up, and I was like, you know what? Whoever made these movies is just insane enough to like not give a fuck. So I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, Spy Kids movies. Like, do they still make Spy Kids movies? I feel like they do.
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if like you go on Netflix and there's like a whole slew of like Spy Kids, like 18.
Yeah, Spy Kids return to the virtual reality
return
Beat
to
Saber
school
edition.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Spy Kids and Fortnite.
Oh god, the next crossover event.
Please.
All right, let's see. And what other trailers? Oh man, this was one that I'm personally psyched for. Fucking Dark Crystal. I don't know if you saw the trailer or if you even watched the movie when you were younger, but I am super psyched that they're rebooting Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal, that's an animated movie, right?
It's a puppet movie.
Oh, the puppet movie, that's right. Yes, I have seen Dark Crystal like once, and Dark Crystal was for me was always like, oh yeah, it's the one that's like Labyrinth, but I like Labyrinth more.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, you know, I'll take that. But I remember watching that when it first, like when it was first out, and being so creeped and weirded out by like the Muppets that they use. Because you had like the Sketties, which like the weird like crow people, and then you had I think Jen, which was like the little halfling type people, and it's such a weird, bizarre kind of like set piece, but you get so sucked in because the story's so cool, and like they kept the practical effects, which is awesome, so it doesn't look like they're trying to like rehash in a really awkward way. I'm just like excited for it overall.
Yeah, everyone I know that like knows anything about Dark Crystal really, really likes it. I think it's. Is it fair to say that it's like a cult classic kind of movie?
I'd say so. I mean, it's like Jim Henson era, and it's like when you think of Jim Henson, people usually think of like the Muppets.
Right.
So like you go from that kind of wholesome kind of like ordeal, and then suddenly you get Dark Crystal, which is like this really weird, creepy, dark, like macabre kind of story with using Muppets, and it's like I don't know, dude. It's no wonder it got a cult following.
Yeah, there's a lot of like oddball movies from back then that I'm sure that like the publishers and stuff at the time were thinking like this isn't gonna catch on. This is never gonna. And now you can't walk through a fucking Hot Topic or a Target without seeing David Bowie's bulge on a T-shirt.
I wonder how people feel with like being cult classic cult status to the point where you're in Hot Topic. Like you create something that, like, I mean, imagine like the fucking was Invader Zim and all that. You're like, oh, I'm gonna make a great series, and before you know it, it's like the emo goth kids, like fashion sense.
Yeah, that's true. Is that like a good feeling or a feeling?
I don't know. Like I made it big. I'm in Hot Topic. Yeah.
And it stinks because a lot of the time, the reason that stuff like that gets into Hot Topic is because of like one or two things. Like most of the time, like with Invader Zim, it's because of Gur.
No, that's true. Like the
It's
random.
always, yeah, a lol XD random bullshit stuff like that. But Invader Zim, in and of its own, is a great show, which is like well animated and well thought out and stuff like that. And it's getting its not reboot, but like its movie continuation coming soon to Netflix, I think.
Is the original writer or director behind it?
I do not know, but it looks like it.
Because I'm always weirded out. I mean, Ren and Stimpy's probably like the perfect example and the reason I'm so like traumatized by this. But you had these old shows that were, I mean, they were like really pushing the limit back in the day because the original OG Ren and Stimpy was like super freaking weird. And like it was still technically, I would say it was still appropriate for kids. They just had some kind of adult humor, but it was very subtle. A lot of it was just kind of gross looking, like Powdered Toast Man and stuff like that. But then now go ahead.
Those all like gross out humor and stuff like that, but kind of well done, not like Adam Sandler gross out humor.
Yeah, exactly. And then they remake or they reboot or redo Ren and Stimpy, and then it suddenly becomes very blatant, kind of in your face, homoerotic jokes. Which, like, that's not to say like the original run didn't have it, because I distinctly remember an episode where they're, I guess, like flying on Powdered Toast Man, and he flies backwards, so they have to hold onto his butt. He's like, "Hold on to my butt," and they do, and then they pan it on his face, and his eyes kind of roll back, and you're like, "Oh." But like they're really subtle jokes like that it's not like that in your face,
right?
And then meanwhile the new Ren and Stimpy has like there's a clip of like Stimpy bent over and then he's got a log on his butt, and then Ren's like for some reason has a saw tied between his legs and he's just like thrusting onto his butt to saw the log in half. And it's like come on, like dude, this is like way in your face.
Yeah, it's true that the subtlety gets kind of like thrown right out the window, and along with it, like part of the humor.
Yeah, exactly. So it almost becomes overdone, where you're like, all right, this is just like cringy.
Yeah, it goes from being like a smart person joke to a dumb person joke.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, that's why I'm kind of like hesitant when I see those. I mean, it's kind of the reason I started disliking Rick and Morty, because I started watching it. It was a great show, but then the fucking fandom ruined it.
Yeah, fandoms of many things ruin many things. Although it's kind of interesting that like Minecraft is sort of coming back in a not cringy way now.
Yeah, that was another thing that had like that weird cyclical life, because Minecraft kind of died for a bit with that, and then now it's like unironically coming back.
Yeah, it got memed so hard that it's not a meme to hate it anymore. It's like people just like it again, and there's like all kinds of crazy mods and shit for it again. People doing the like extreme ray tracing, like no blocky textures or anything, and now it just looks nothing like Minecraft with all these like crazy mods on stuff. There's all different kinds of like, people that were doing Fortnite stuff on YouTube are like back to doing Minecraft, and it seems like really popular again.
That's cool, dude. Minecraft was always like a super fun game, and I checked it a few weeks ago, just kind of like the news, and they've added so much stuff to the game now, man. Like
Yeah,
part of
no,
the base game, there's like villages and like like they overhauled the villager trading system, magic. There's like underwater biomes. There's like actual like temples and stuff in the Ender Zone and all this stuff.
Yeah, because I remember playing it like maybe a couple years after it first came out, and just being like, I don't, this is okay, but there's no point. Like, you just do. I mean, there is a point, like progressing and like getting like better equipment and stuff like that. Going like all the way up to like diamond armor and whatnot. But then after that, it was like, and I'm done. I can build stuff, I guess, but I don't want to. I'm gonna go play Halo now.
Yeah, I feel like that's always the challenge with those games because like the whole point of it is kind of emergent gameplay. Like you're supposed to build your own fun and story. And like to a degree, it's still like that, but I think they've added enough things where it kind of gives people easier time to kind of make their own narrative with it.
Yeah, I think just like having all that stuff like the Ender Zone and the Ender Dragon and the temples and stuff like that, it gives you enough like, it pushes you into playing it and continuing to play long enough to where you can get into doing stuff by yourself. It's like it's like starting a lawnmower, how you have to like you need to like crank it enough times to where it'll, go on its own and be fun again.
Yeah, sure. Like it kind of gives you enough aspirational content where like that emergent gameplay kind of comes up naturally as a result.
Yeah, more so than it used to at the very least.
Yeah, so I mean, I might load it back up though because I don't know if it's just like the recency effect, but just seeing everybody talking about it now kind of makes me want to play it again.
Yeah, honestly, that happens to me with a lot of games. I probably never would have gotten into Apex Legends if I didn't see so many people making a huff and a puff about it when it first came out.
Yeah, although I hear now it's kind of on the downturn a little bit for Apex Legends.
A little bit, but the devs actually just announced that they're going to be talking about Season 2 stuff soon, and like double XP events and like a bunch of other stuff that they're going to be adding to it. So it sounds like they're listening to people, and they're actually going to have shit in the game now.
Oh yeah, and we have E3 coming up too, I think next week, so I'm sure a lot of that stuff is going to be like we have a lot of stuff getting announced then.
Yeah, I think EA actually like not announced, but they like shared their plan for like what times and stuff that they'll be talking about, their games, and one of their things was Apex Legends news. So that should be I'm hoping that they have like a new map or a new character or both, maybe something like that.
So yeah, because they haven't added a new hero aside from the Adrenaline guy, right?
Yeah, Octane was the only new one. There, two characters did leak when it first came out, and one of them was Octane, like to a T, his abilities and everything. So that I'm not concerned that there's another character. It's just a matter of when he comes out.
Right.
And I mean, I've seen people mention on like Twitter and stuff like, obviously, people compare it to Fortnite because it's a battle royale, so it's just kind of like a as you do kind of thing. But Fortnite sucked ass when it first came out, so it's not surprising that Apex also is having a little bit of a tough time coming out of the gate. It's definitely better than Fortnite was when it came out, but I think it's having that same kind of like growing pain where it's like, we got to find our place in this, battle royale world, and we're trying really hard to do it really fast because the demand is so high now.
Yeah, it's true. And like you said, I think when it launched in a better state than Fortnite launched because it got a lot of attention really quickly, but I don't think that the developers supported it, had enough content to keep it going because I think the interest has waned so much because, like you said, they haven't really done anything in terms of like adding levels. They haven't done really much in terms of adding new characters. So like they haven't really done anything to keep it fresh. And after a while, people just lost interest.
Yeah, and the first season pass was just like total, like just wet ass. Is just the lamest fucking season pass or battle pass, whatever. Like all the skins in it are fucking boring. There's like useless shit that people don't care about, like, oh, you get a new banner for this character, or the only things that were good is I think there's either 1 or 2 legendary loot boxes in it where you're guaranteed 3 legendary items, and like that was it. There's some like special kill counters, and if you reach level 100 you get a special legendary skin for a weapon that most people hate.
Jeez.
Aren't
like, most of the skins just like palette swaps too?
Most of them are. There's like the blue and white tiers are just palette swaps. The purple tiers are like moving skins, so like the actual shape of the weapon doesn't change, but the skin moves. Like it's got like cool like data pattern or like glowing like pulsing red kind of stuff like that. And then the legendary tier is actual like the weapons are completely and totally different. Same thing for the characters as well. The gold, purple, blue, and white, they had the same idea. And they also have like legendary banners and stuff like that move when you look at them and shit like that. But there was just not enough in that battle pass. It was just so lame.
Cool.
Rant over.
It's all good, dude. Well, I mean, with that in mind, is there anything else you're looking forward to with E3 coming up?
I'm looking forward to more Jedi Fallen Order, Last Order, whatever the fuck it's called, that game.
That's right. We're supposed to get some more information on it, right?
Yeah, and it's made by Respawn, and they can do no wrong except for releasing shitty battle passes. So,
womp womp.
Yeah, I mean Titanfall 2, like, fuck me sideways. That campaign was awesome.
Dude, I am so sad about Titanfall 2 because I feel like the release window was so shitty for it.
Oh, so bad.
But that game was fantastic, and it was criminally underrated because I think some people like just didn't pay attention to it. But the campaign was hands down one of my favorite campaigns I've played in a first-person shooter, like, in a long time. And
yeah,
the multiplayer is still fun as hell.
Yeah, and actually the multiplayer did get a decent bump because of Apex Legends. I was just watching a video about Apex after it came out, because right after it came out I was like hard on that Apex train. I was like, I just want to fucking watch YouTubers play Apex Legends and blah. And I watched one video where this guy was talking about how Titanfall 2 numbers had like bumped up quite a bit on all platforms since Apex Legends came out.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool, and yeah, that campaign was so good, and the character development was so good, and I love BT so much.
Dude, I know BT was so great, and man, I didn't expect to be that attached to random AI, but that game fucking did it.
I didn't expect to cry like a little bitch at the end of a 4-hour first-person shooter campaign.
Right? Yeah, man, and for all intents and purposes, it was a short campaign, but it was so well done. It was so enjoyable.
Yeah, there was so many like neat little like set pieces, like the time travel level,
which came out of nowhere too, dude. Like that thing was completely out of left field because you're playing a completely linear game, and out of nowhere they throw like a time travel gimmick, and it's like so fucking well done, dude. Like
yeah, like it was a crime that was only one level of that mechanic, or the phase shifting, or whatever you want to call it. Like that shit was cool.
I know, just being able to like slide in and out of like different time periods and using that as part of like the level design, dude. That thing was just, dude, that was like beautiful.
Yeah, I please make Titanfall 3.
I know, right? Just or use the mechanic again, just something, because that was just, it's a crime not to see it again.
Yeah, right now that mechanic is used for one character in Apex Legends that lasts for 3 seconds when you use it, and that's it.
That's barely enough.
And she's the hot topic character.
Oh no. Yeah, aside from that, I think the other thing that I'm looking forward to is the Avengers game.
Did a trailer drop for that today? Because I kept hearing people talking about it, but I didn't see a trailer.
No, I think Square Enix just came out with like they showed I guess like a
Picture?
teaser, which is just kind of like the Avengers logo,
Yeah.
and they just mentioned like, hey, this it's a new Avengers game. They released some details, which I think is like you'll be able to create your own character, and you'll be able to play like co-op as well with people. And that's kind of like the extent of it. So tomorrow they just said like stay tuned. We'll have more for you to I think at E3.
I always get concerned when like Marvel and DC have these like create your own character things because I think back to games like X-Men Destiny, which was poopy. And I think the game.
Wait, was that the one with like the kids and the superpower?
It was the one that came out at like the very end of the 360 and PS3's life, and I forget who made it, but it was like just fucking awful.
I think I vaguely remember that because I think that's the one where like you can pick the kids, and then as you level up, you can modify your powers.
Yes, yeah, you picked like different classes of mutants to be.
I remember that, yeah.
And then you think to games like, Ultimate Alliance and stuff like that, where it's like, here are the Marvel characters that you like. Play as them. It's more fun.
Oh yeah, that's true. The game wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good either. Mm. It was like one of those where like, man, like I guess this is cool. You let me like combine powers and make my own mutant in a way, but not enough to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes out and it's like Avengers meets Final Fantasy 15 or something like that with like that kind of combat system, but with like Marvel characters, I'd be fucking down to clown with that in a heartbeat.
Dude, I mean, that's like what I'm secretly hoping, just because it's Square Enix, and I don't. When it comes to like RPGs and games, I mean, they got a pretty solid track record. So I don't know, man. If we could get something like Final Fantasy, like 15/Avengers game, man, I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean they do also publish other stuff. Like they publish the Just Cause games, which like are kind of niche, where you just blow stuff up. But
Just Cause is a fabulous series.
Just Cause 4 was a little bit of a letdown. But the new, speaking of trailers, there's a trailer for the DLC for that. Looked cool.
I haven't seen that one.
It was called Los Demonimos, I think, and it's like totally fucking out of left field. There's like giant demon bugs and shit that are like taking over the island that you have to fight, and you get all these like crazy new weapons and stuff. I saw that trailer and I was like, huh, that immediately looks better than all the DLC for Just Cause 3 combined.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Los Demonios. Okay, means the demons.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised, and like right before that they released another not trailer but like announcement video that was they were cleaning up certain aspects of Just Cause 4 just as like a patch. They're cleaning up some of the like shading and like textures and things like that, and some like different things you can interact with in the world, like those big statues that you could like mess with in Just Cause 3. Those are back, and you can
nice.
Mess with those again. There's some other stuff I don't remember exactly, but I remember those specifically, and then the trailer for the DLC. So I'm like, hey, Just Cause 4 maybe won't suck by the time all its DLC is out.
I'm looking at images from the trailer, and that just looks bananas.
Yeah, it does.
It kind of reminds me of was it Far Cry? How they did Blood Dragon out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like it's completely offbeat to what the rest of the game was, but it's just so different that it kind of breathes new life into it.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of Blood Dragon, it's been a long time since we had a spin-off of a big game like that was just like awesome.
Yeah, like just like a really fun kind of like side quest. I don't know if you played Divinity Original Sin, but
no, but I have it.
They're coming up with Fallen Heroes, which is probably like along the same lines, where it's a spin-off title. Granted, it's not going to be anything in terms of like no 80s synth vaporwave aesthetic or anything like that, but I mean it's still a spin-off game, so I guess you got that.
But did you ever play Dead Rising 2?
Yes, I did.
Remember like Case Zero and Case West and like stuff like that?
Yeah, those are actually really good. I remember that because yeah, they were like little, almost like mini games.
Yeah, the Case West was friggin' sweet because you had like kick-ass like laser guns and shit that you could make, and you could build the lightsaber with like a shield and all kinds of like cool shit in that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that game was actually really good. It was, and then case they had like off the record too. You could get, which had like all of them.
Yeah, that was the one that was you played through. It was like a what if, where if Dead Rising 2 was Frank West was the hero again,
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
and Chuck Green was one of the psychopaths.
Yeah, dude, yeah. God, those games were actually surprisingly fun too.
Yeah, whatever happened to that Dead Rising 4?
I, I feel like after a while there's like zombie fatigue.
Yeah, there is zombie fatigue, but usually Capcom can like pull aside because I mean Dead Rising 3 was like sort of like already in the zombie fatigue era, you know, like Left 4 Dead 2 had already been out for a while. I feel like it stopped after Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, 4 was a new character too, right?
No, 4 was Frank West.
Was it?
Yeah, 4 was Frank West, and he was 50, but somehow looked like he was 25, and he was like
man.
not funny and not the same voice actor, and everything was bad.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, not everything. There was a couple neat things here and there, but like they got rid of psychopaths, they got rid of the timer. Basically, it's just like it was just like an average like hack and slash zombie game, and it didn't feel like Dead Rising.
You know, the timer is a funny thing because I think because of the timers is one of the reasons the game was actually even fun, because it gives you kind of like that sense of urgency where like you're not allowed to wear yourself out because you constantly have to come back and do like that one task.
Right.
Because I remember it happened when Crackdown 2 was coming out. They released a time demo on Xbox, and my friends and I we figured out that you could crack it by, I think, like if you're all in the game, then you have somebody connect and immediately like unplug their Xbox. It's basically hosts the world like locally, and then everybody can just join in after that. So we played the Crackdown 2 game demo for about like 4 hours, and we just completely wore ourselves out. So by the time the game came out, we were just like bored with it. So like with Dead Rising, I imagine the same kind of fatigue would set in because ultimately you're not really doing much except just killing zombies.
Right.
And like it's fun, but after a while, like there's only so much the bodies can pile up before you kind of get bored.
Right, and I mean like Dead Rising 1 through 3 made it memorable because it broke it up with the psychopaths and the unique survivors and stuff like that, and you know like Dead Rising 1 I think in particular was super hard to 100% that thing, but that gave you like a really really good challenge of trying to figure out how to fit in all like saving all those survivors and beating all the psychopaths within the 3-day limit and getting the perfect ending. Like it was challenging and fun to do that. And then you fast forward to Dead Rising 4, there's no sense of urgency, there's no psychopath, there's nothing to break up, just going from main mission to main mission to main mission, and it's like the most boring shit ever.
Yeah, they got rid of like that aspirational content. So like you said, like it's outside of missions, there's really nothing else for you to do, and it just kind of sucks the fun out of it.
Yeah, it's definitely like that Capcom had that perfect era in like the mid 2000s where they just made so many great memorable games. Beautiful Joe, Resident Evil 4, Dead Rising 1, like all these like just perfectly slightly imperfect games. And now that they like, you know, you come to now and it's like the Resident Evil games are still good, but not in that same like fun campy way that they were back then.
Yeah, right. Oh man. Well, I guess that wraps up this edition. I think before we leave, we want to try something else called, I guess, the Clustercast recommends, where, you know, I guess we talk about something that we're each involved in, kind of in the geek world, that we feel like other people should try out. So Is there anything that you kind of want to recommend that you've kind of been really getting into lately?
Does it have to be new?
No, it could be anything old, man.
Okay. Resident Evil 4. We've actually been playing it on our Let's Play channel, and it's really fun.
What system are you playing it for?
We're playing the Xbox One version.
See, man, that is probably my favorite Resident Evil game, and I was looking forward to it on the Switch, but I've heard so many bad things about the Switch version that it was a very big disappointment.
Yeah, I actually heard it was like not optimized properly, and it didn't have like people were expecting, I think, the Wii controls, and it doesn't have that.
Yeah, they were expecting it to have like motion controls because I mean you're in the middle of freaking like it's a Switch, why
Right.
not? But yeah, man, they don't have it.
Boo, poopy. Yeah, that. Everyone should watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because that's awesome.
Dude, that I don't know why I have missed this, but I started watching it probably like about a few weeks ago
Yeah.
because I kind of like most of my animes are kind of wrapping up for the season, so I'm like, oh, let me check something else out. So I tried whatever the newest one is, like Diamond is Unbreakable. And holy shit, man, that thing is so out of left field, and it made me go back. I'm actually rewatching the first seasons just to kind of get through it.
Yeah, the first two seasons are not a slog, but JoJo's Bizarre Adventure really becomes what it is in Stardust Crusaders.
Yeah, they have Crunchyroll has like a movie, I guess, where they pretty much took like the first two seasons of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and they just kind of, I guess, consolidated it all into like one movie.
I have not noticed that because I also watched it on Crunchyroll. I did not see that though.
Yeah, it's like a new thing. They added it recently, which is kind of cool. So like that gives you like a good like high level overview of like the whole thing with like Joe and Dio and like their connection and stuff.
Yeah, I would say as long as you don't miss out on the memeable moments from the first two seasons, then that's totally worth it.
Oh, dude, Shitpost Crusaders is one of my favorite subreddits to go to now. It's nothing but like shit posting and memes for like JoJo. It's fantastic.
Yeah, did you happen to catch the 7-page Muda?
Yeah, that's like a staple for the series now.
I know I didn't know anything about it because I haven't read the manga, and then I saw everyone saying like the 7-page Buddha came out today, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yep.
Like that voice actor, that poor voice actor.
I know, man. Like props to them for being able to like sustain that.
Props to them for being able to move their mouths that fast. I can't even do that.
I think about like get an aneurysm.
So yeah, for me it's Resident Evil 4 and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I can't think of anything else because I'm brain dead and I spent yesterday vomiting. What do you recommend?
I've back into D&D. I know Dungeons and Dragons has gotten kind of like a resurgence lately. I think in part due to people like Matt Mercer and Critical Role, they kind of bring it more into the limelight. But it's great that there's so many different podcasts that are showcasing it. But I think last week Wizard of the Coast had a little panel and they revealed that their next, I guess, adventure that they're releasing is Descent into Avernus, which is Avernus is kind of like the equivalent of like the Nine Hells and the D&D universe.
Ew.
And it's cool because it's like this. There's this thing called the Blood War going on where you have like demons and like the forces of chaos that are kind of like fighting a war against each other.
Yep.
And I guess like you're gonna be the way they described it is like Mad Max meets Dante's Inferno, which sounds pretty badass. Because the whole point is
fucking awesome.
Yeah, the whole point is I guess you're traveling into like the layers of hell to do something. But it takes place in like the Sword Coast, which is kind of like where Baldur's Gate is set, for anybody that's familiar. But yeah, it kind of rekindled D&D. I stopped playing for a little bit, and then just seeing that kind of got me psyched for it. So I played a couple pickup games on Roll20, and I'm trying to get a campaign started with a couple of my buddies locally. But
nice.
Yeah, dude, D&D is just one of those games that's so much fun to play because it lets everybody it's more like a collaborative story everybody tells together. And I think that's something that's like for gamers a lot. That's something that is really, really appealing because you're not just playing like a set piece where like, hey, this is your story, this is the beginning, this is the end, these are your quest points, knock it out. It's a lot of it is, especially if you have a good like dungeon master, a DM, like they will take the player's actions and like reactions and input, and they'll craft a story that kind of goes along with whatever the group is. So you could be telling the same story to 4 different groups, and it's going to end up in 4 different ways depending on the people that are playing.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard from friends I had in college and stuff that did Dungeons and Dragons, that seems like it's very, like, extremely open-ended, more so than any other, like, nerd stuff that I've been into, like, you know, video games, board games, anything. It seems like the most open-ended, like, activity that you can get into, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a ton of variations of it, obviously. I mean, you have Dungeons and Dragons, you have Shadowrun, which was one of the original pen and paper games. There's a ton of them, man, but it's just a fun community to do. So, I mean, if anybody's never played it or ever been curious, I like really recommend it. It's just a really fun time. They do these things called D&D Adventures, where you can actually check on their website, and people will host like pickup games where they'll just do one-shots, where it's a self-contained adventure. It'll last like 2 to 3 hours. You can just go meet up with people and then just have a pre-made character and play.
That sounds pretty cool. Sounds like a very useful thing for people that like don't play it or don't know much about it, because it kind of gives them a little like, here's a start, you know, go with it.
Yeah, right. Just somewhere to start. But yeah, just getting back into that because it's a super fun thing. And aside from that, I started replaying Divinity 2 Original Sin. I forgot how much fun that game is, dude. It's one of my favorite RPGs just because they really kind of capture that whole freedom in like role-playing games. They announced,
I always thought about playing it because I like Diablo 3 and it looked a lot like Diablo 3.
It is, but keep in mind it's an RPG, so it's a lot slower paced, and it's a turn-based game too, so the combat's all turn-based.
Oh, it is turn-based.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like total ARPG like Diablo.
I don't know. I don't know if you like turn-based games, but
I mean, I do. I liked Final Fantasy.
yeah, like that's one of the reasons I like it, because I really like turn-based combat, and it's cool. Like the reason I like the game is because they give you so much freedom, and the game is just a bunch of systems that are like built to interact with each other, so it's really easy to break the game, which is hilarious because I mean it gives you like some really creative ways to kind of go through it. There's a class that people jokingly call the Barrelmancer, which is just essentially like dropping points of telekinesis and killing enemies by dropping barrels on them. Yeah, dude, it's stuff like that. And like, they had a thing in like the original game, for example, where like the damage items would do to in general was based on their weight. So people would take a treasure chest and just load it with all the crap they could find and make it weigh a couple 100 pounds. And then when combat would start, they would just drop that on someone's head and it'd be like a one-hit kill.
That sounds awesome. It sounds like you're saying like Dungeons and Dragons very open-ended.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what the game is built around. So I mean it's a really fun game, and it just kind of reminded me how much fun I've had playing that game. And I'm looking forward to, because they're releasing like that spin-off, which is Fallen Heroes, which is a turn-based, but it's more of a tactics style game too. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a nice little like change of pace set in the same universe.
That sounds pretty cool, actually. I might have to. Is it co-op?
It is, yeah.
Is it? How does that work? Do like different players control different characters within the turn-based combat?
Yeah, so you can either create your own character, or you can use like one of the stock characters they have that have their own little story that goes along with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I mean, we can control our characters independently in real time, and then when we get into combat, it's like turn-based. However, the combat is activated within like distance. So if I'm on the other side of the map and you're in combat, like that's all you. I'm doing my own thing over here.
Oh,
which is kind of funny. So like, because I played that game co-op with a buddy a few years ago, and he's the kind of guy that likes to try to steal everything he can, which fucking sucked. Because I remember I was like talking to a vendor in one side of town, and then he tried to pickpocket like one of the magisters and failed, and then that triggered combat for him. And meanwhile, I'm shopping for here, and he's kind of fighting for his life, like probably like 2 streets down. Mm. So I mean, it's a fun game.
That sounds pretty cool. And is that local or online co-op?
Both.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, dude. So it's cool.
I might actually have to check that out now because I think I have either 1 or 2
I got
installed.
both of them. So if you ever want to do like a co-op campaign, dude, I'll do them with you.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, man. But I guess that about wraps it up for this episode. We're still kind of getting our bearings. This is only episode 3.
3.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully you guys stick with us and enjoy what we're putting out. If you have any questions or any kind of topics you want us to cover, I mean, let us know.
Absolutely, yeah. Let us know any stuff you want to hear us talk about, or if you want to hear more recommendations, because I'll probably think of more at some point.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys around.
See you later.